about how to arrange the rooms of your pigs to maximize productivity on the farm. This is one thing I am still trying to correct because I've already made that mistake. So this is it. Assuming you have a number of pigs on your farm, how do you arrange the rooms such that this group have their rooms separately, and it is at this point the locations of each room and for what pigs they are supposed to contain. Assuming you have rooms for quarantining, you have rooms for boars, rooms for the sows, rooms for weaners, growers, finishers, the lactating and the gestating sows. How do you arrange such rooms to ensure that your room or your farm looks well organized? First, at the entrance of your farm is where you have the biosecurity checkpoint. Maybe there's a stand where you wash your hands, or there's a foot bath. You dip your feet there to take care of the pathogens before you enter the farm. So right after the biosecurity checkpoint, the first room is the quarantine room. Let's assume that you have brought in new stock of pigs from another farm and you have gotten to your farm. After you have done the biosecurity processes correctly, now the next place for you to keep those pigs is the quarantine area. You keep them there for some time to observe for signs of illnesses or diseases. If there are no disease or sicknesses in them, then you can proceed and let them mix with what you have on your farm. So from the biosecurity point, the next room is the quarantine area. And after the quarantine area, the room that is supposed to follow is the room for the boars. That's the male pigs. You understand it? So after keeping the male pigs, the next room following the male pig is where you're keeping the dry sows. That is female pigs that are not breastfeeding their piglet. Maybe you have weaned their piglet and now they are to leave alone. Now you have the dry sows, and you're positioning them in that order because the females are supposed to see the males so that they'll come and hit very fast, and then you can cross them. So from the biosecurity checkpoint, you go to the quarantine, then the male or the boar area move to the dry sow where the pigs are not breastfeeding, and then after that you have the gestating sow's room. That is after the pigs have shown signs of it, you have taken them to the male, they have mated and they are pregnant. The next room following where the pigs was previously, the dry sow's area, is the gestating sow's area where now they are pregnant and they are there. Following the gestating sow's area is also the room for the farrowing area. Once the pregnancy has developed, it could be that you are keeping about four pregnant pigs in a room. So now that one of them is about to farrow, now you move it to the farrowing area. So after the farrowing area, the next room that is supposed to follow the farrowing area is the lactating area or the lactating room. Lactating room and farrowing area, sometimes you can just keep one room for them like that. They say to do the same function because you don't want to move the pigs after they are farrowed. But if you want to move them to another area, maybe a well-positioned area, then you should have also lactating sow's room. The next room is when you have the weaner's room. You have separated the piglets from their mother after about 6 weeks old. Now they are living on their own, so they are supposed to be close to the lactating sow's area. Now the dry sow or the sow which is no more breastfeeding can be moved back to the room where the dry sows are kept. And then the piglets can also be moved to the weaner's room. After the weaner's room, now you have the growing area where now they move from the weaner to the growing, and then from there they're finishing. And when it gets to the finishing stage, that one should be positioned. If you have two-way path, the entrance and then the exit, the finishing should be at the exit side, so that when the pigs get to the finishing stage, you know that now they're leaving your farm, they're ready for the market, you're about to make sales. So this is just a simple layout from biosecurity checkpoint to quarantine to boar to dry sows to gestating sows to farrowing area to lactating sows to weaners to growers, and then finishers at the end of it. Assume you have the rooms at the opposite ends. That one, the dry sows and then the boars can be opposite each other. You understand? So if you do something like that, it makes it very easy for you to manage your farm without stressing your pigs. Imagine you weaning pigs in room 4, and then you have to now move them straight to maybe room 8. You are stressing them like that. But if you move them maybe just a step to the next room, it's very nice for them. And then the next one to another step till they get to the finishing side. The quarantine area should be more distant reasonably from the remaining of the farm. In case of any outbreak, it does not spread very quickly. That is basically what you need to know about room arrangement. there will be an instant in pig farming where you might lose your lactating sow, and then the piglets will be there. You don't know what to do with them. Or there will be a stage where now you want to bring piglets from different mothers together. How do you do this? If you don't do it right, they'll end up fighting, and then they'll be attacking each other. So for you to do this right, what I usually do is that if piglets from sow A and sow B are to be mixed together, early in the morning, I open all of them, both sides, to a neutral ground, maybe in a corridor or in a veranda or in a new room that none of them has been there before. I keep them there all at once because it is a neutral ground. None of them will be fighting to say maybe it is for them or showing some dominance over there. So they now become confused, trying to acclimatize or be familiar with the new environment. And then they make friends within that time. They try to make friends, and because it's not for them, they get along very easily. If you don't do that, then maybe just open them. Maybe piglets of sow A are already in the room, and you just bring piglets from sow B quickly to mix with them. The sow A's will try to attack the sow B's, and that's where now they end up fighting and biting each other, causing injuries everywhere. And most of it is that those that are already scared would not be feeding again, and it will cause them a lot of stress before they can recover. You understand? So if you want to bring piglets from different sides, you make sure you leave all of them to a neutral ground, and then you can now drive them safely to where you want them all to be. With that, none of them can show ownership of the new room, and they'll live there happily for you. And in pig farming, we have what we call fostering. We have fostering. Fostering is a situation where you take piglets from a different sow altogether and then give it to another sow to breastfeed. And this often happens as a result of some conditions, especially if you have two sows giving birth at the same time, but one of them is not producing breast milk, and one is producing more breast milk than the number of piglets it has. So if maybe a particular pig has more piglets, but the number of nipples that can give milk are few, and there's another sow that is also giving less piglets but with and more nipples flowing with the breast milk, you will then separate or take part of the piglets from the other one that is having less nipples and give it to the one with more nipples, and then they will cycle. That is fostering like that. And there are some instances whereby you do split cycling. Split cycling also happens when you have only one pig having more piglets than the available functional teeth. So let's say there are only 6 nipples that are flowing with their breast milk, but the sow gave birth to maybe 15. They can't all breastfeed at the same time. So what you do is you split cycle them. Split cycling means you just divide the piglet into portions, maybe group A, group B, or maybe group C. In some instances, you go to group C. So the first group will cycle. You take them away about an hour time or two. Second group will also cycle. You're going to keep doing this until now they are all being fed correctly. If you're doing this, for you to do it right, what you need to do is that you ensure the weaker ones always have access to the breast milk. The weaker ones, because they are very vulnerable at that stage. So you always ensure that the weaker ones have access to the breast milk first. After that, the most healthy ones can now be taken there to also cycle on their own. And this you can see the difference between the healthy and then the weaker ones from the very beginning when they start trying to compete for the nipples. And also how I just talked about how you can bring piglets from different sows to live together harmoniously. And sometimes it takes a lot of practicals and a lot of experiences before you get to know this. Otherwise, you see that when you mix them, they might not be fighting your presence. But once you live there, before you return, you see bloody environment, blood everywhere on the walls and also on the bodies of some pigs. You need to ensure that you always bring them together in a very peaceful and harmonious way.